Howdy, howdy, ladies and gentsies. It's currently part 3 of daily number 412, where we learn to be a better gamer. We're taking a look at Liquid Zenio and this brilliant hydralisk stepping stone that he uses to pop into Ling Mutalisk. It allows him to be aggressive, to defend against a huge variety, hip, hooray, etc. The other thing I wanted to announce is that the After Hours Gaming League Week 3 cast coming up after this. It's gonna be Epic versus Palantir, two undefeated teams duking it out for a spot in the top 3. Aw, yeah. And guess who just arrived at my house? Rob Simpson from Blizzard Esports. He's co-casting with me. Whoosh. Let's hop back into the game where we're seeing Liquid Zenio finally start to get his Ling Muta up. And we've talked so much about this hydralisk transition, about how it serves as a stepping stone, and now in this final part we get to really see some of just some smart movement with this Ling Mutalisk. Obviously, the Mutalisk let us get map control by thwarting these sorts of attempts, but also in terms of expanding, this is a good spot to expand to, as is this place. I actually think that this is not a very bad place to expand to at all when we're going Ling Mutalisk, because we have total map control. We just have to make sure that we have this Zeniownage watchtower and this one as well. There's no reason why, when we're Ling Mutaing, we shouldn't have control of all the watchtowers. Our units are positioned super incredibly aggressively, ready for any sort of counterplay. These hydralisks still provide these amazing little pokes all around. Finally, we get this +1 research started. The big theme is going to be not engaging ever. Running around in all sorts of crazy directions, just waltzing around, avoiding. And then another step that I really like from Zenio is that he goes for these banelings with speed. The only thing that's really going to end up being some big problems for us is if he gets a big death ball and starts kind of moving his way out with it. And if they are isolated into these small enough groups, I mean, the Ling-Baneling combo can actually just be horrific to deal with. Super unreal obnoxious. Naniwa splits his units up like a freaking genius. Like, I've never seen anyone split his units up quite this good before. But of course, you always want to expand away from your opponent when you have this super stupidly fast mobile army. See how Zenio's trying to go for the counterattack, but this is always the issue when you're up against a player who's of Naniwa's caliber. He'll just swat you aside left and right, and suddenly, as you just barely manage to work your way towards him, he's ready to blink out and cut you off. This is one of those sad moments where he could not quite keep his opponent all the way back. But Naniwa's still holding these watchtowers really smartly, just trying to inch his way into a good position. And still having a couple banelings to help roll in if for some reason the stalkers blink forward. The banelings will be there to greet them, and they will not have these colossus there to defend. Really, really nice when they have those not quite too huge amount of stalkers. So as we see, Naniwa forces a base trade to occur. He's just stepping on in. Yep, Zenio started to move forward with those banelings, but of course knew that it was the opposite of what he wanted to have happen. This is the sort of engagement that you want to go for. And meanwhile, up here we see Zenio rapidly building spine crawlers, redistributing as much as he can, rallying back, trying not to engage. You really just don't want to engage ever. There's those blink stalkers, having a lot of trouble with the banelings because they end up in those pretty nicely sized clumps. And this is a pretty standard looking base race scenario. Zenio literally didn't even engage in those main fights. Just kind of spread himself out a little bit. This is actually beneficial, this placement, that a protoss can't just hit here and then hit down here and be done with it. This is a little bit far away from everything. This is a little bit far away from everything. This is really close to this one. So this is actually somewhat of a concern for this base, but obviously the fact that it's defended by all these spine crawlers helps a good bit. And Zenio, as you'd expect, not engaging, never engaging, pulling back, not engaging. Being real careful. And just because I love having consistent themes, where is a really good spot for Zerg to expand to? Where's our really unbelievably great spot for Zerg to expand to? Look at the minimap. Look at the minimap. I think it is definitively one of two places. I think that there is definitively one good spot to expand, or two spots. The absolute best ones to expand to are... Let me pull the chat. Let me see what your wonderful chat says. Wow, you guys are smart. Said it right there. The sky, to expand to the sky? Yeah, we build a floating island and we carry it along with our mutalisks and we defend that. It's brilliant. The best choice is very clearly this expansion and this expansion. Absolutely not this one. Absolutely not this one. Even if the rocks were gone, I think that would be a gross error. Absolutely not this one. Although this one is probably a little bit higher up. It's a little bit closer to these two. But these two very clearly the best one. In particular, this one I like the most of all. Because if any army tries to go anywhere up there, it's far away from all our other bases and helps our whole goal of counterattack. We want to try to counterattack. We want to try to get his units in positions that are not his base. Anything top right, these two bases are going to be great. Now, for the record, if we were going Roach Hydra, this would be very clearly the best. Very clearly. Why? Because we can create this huge wall with our slow units and get them in between. Because we're trying to defend the expansions. But this style, this Ling Muta style, is not about defending expansions. It's about counterattacking his bases. So make sure your expansions are consistent with that. Whoopee! And now Zenio just continues to macro in any way, shape, or form. I still love this emphasis on building Banelings. And Naniwa without any final engagement. Yep, there it is. Fantastic. Love that so much. Without any real engagement, says a GG. Cool stuff, right? Cool stuff. Top mid, I think, is also, by the way, I think that this is another big erroneous spot to build. Because if we're controlling these watchtowers as Naniwa, which we've seen him do, and if we bounce up and start to zone the mutalisks back a bit, it's not hard to bounce up here, kill this, and bounce back. It's very hard to get up here to this expansion in any way, shape, or form. Quite tough. Anytime we're up here, we're way out of position. Although this will put our Protoss buddy out of position too. Let us take a question from the audience before we do the After Hours Gaming League. Taking questions, clearing out all the questions from Markio's question grabber. All right, yes. Dear Day 9 in part 2 of game 1. By the way, this question is from Grimortis. You said Zinio was running with conditional build trees and noted that he built the spire for potential mutas. Since he didn't need mutas, how could he extend the use of his spire? The way he extended the use was to say, well, sweet, I can just pop out some corruptors and really crush all of your colossi quite easily. The spire, to be honest, is one of those buildings that it's almost hard not to use it in the game ever. If you're going for Broodlords, you're going to be using it. Cool. And then you can begin building your corruptors early. Cool. If he gets colossi, you can get those then. Cool. Even if he starts trying to do some sort of high Templarage, you know, some non-Colossus play, you're still going to probably end up with the Broodlords. So that is one of the big reasons why it's great to get that Spire Hydra combo up. So awesome. So awesome. Let me see. Here's a question from Pellinor. Do you agree that green is by far the most superior color? I would lean towards yellow in the game of StarCraft 2. I really like that. A nice, rich Dignitas yellow, perhaps a Watchman yellow, as you might describe it. Love it. Yamsi says, Day 9, when someone is only going one upgrade at a time, do you prefer attack or armor for Toss or Zerg? It is completely situational. Completely situational. If I'm building a bunch of Zerglings against a Protoss player, going Ling Mutalisk, I'm probably going to lean towards attack, because I'm going to be counterattacking. I want to have that extra damage to take out buildings quickly and take out probes quickly. Also, I'm intending on engaging his stalkers in small numbers. I want the engagements to be faster so I can move around more quickly. If I'm up against a Terran player going Marine tank and I'm building a lot of Zerglings, I'm probably going to want armor because with low upgrades, that armor helps me withstand those tank shots more easily. Also, I get the best of engagements more often. If you compare like 12 Marines versus, I think it's like 18 or 20 Zerglings, something like that. If the Zerglings have +1 attack, the battle's done sooner, but you have fewer Zerglings left over. If you have +1 armor, hope you heard that too. If you have +1 armor, then the battle takes longer, but more Zerglings are left over at the end. So it really heavily depends. The important thing is that you think through the math really hard. Yeah, Asa5 asks about a +1 mass zealot timing attack with this build. It seems like a direct counter. What makes this so incredibly strong is that the Hydralisk timing arrives around when they would actually get to your base, and Hydralisks will rip apart the zealots. You might say, why can't he get there earlier? The big problem is he has to mass the zealots up back at his base and then walk them across the map to hit yours. So that ends up being a tremendous problem, just getting up all that time. The speed Zerglings are the real key for Zenio. He can run around and pick off the probe that's trying to build stuff. And honestly, if he does get like 8 or 9 zealots and then starts moving out with a probe, you can still build like 40 Zerglings and just overrun it. It doesn't distract that much from your build to do that. I'll take one more. I'll take one more question. Oh yeah, from Big Bear Nasty. Day 9, do you not feel that having a strategy based on a base race situation is a little risky? I definitely think that it feels weird, but it's certainly not risky. There are a lot of situations where you will say, oh, excellent, base race time, and I'm guaranteed to win. Nice. There's a couple situations where this crop up in StarCraft 2. It might feel like that shouldn't be allowed, but it absolutely works great if you do it right. I think one of the reasons why protosses struggle so much against it is it can be very non-intuitive how to play. Naniwa did a pretty damn good job sort of sprinting around and picking off various things. I think that if his Dark Shrine would have stayed alive and he was able to put pressure on with those DTs, would have been a much different story. He could have just waltzed a DT to the top left, killed off that base, and suddenly Zenio only has the bottom left side. That sort of thing. So guys, without any further ado, I'm going to step away. The daily's now done. The daily's done. Oh, actually, let me just announce Fun Day Monday. Fun Day Monday for next week is the alphabetical free-for-all. Hop on Battle.net, play a free-for-all, and you must kill your opponents in alphabetical order. You're allowed to defend your base if someone else is attacking you. God, this helicopter is just hanging out all day, man. Yeah, you're allowed to defend your base, but you may not counterattack his main or do any of that garbage. You have to kill those players in alphabetical order. Submit those replays to me to Monday at day9.tv. And of course, the Day of Reckoning Streamathon has been announced for next Tuesday. The developer 38 Studios is amazing, and when they heard I was doing it, they offered a whole bunch of free giveaways to you, that is to the viewers. Let me open up some of these really quickly and just read them out loud. These are stupid. These are so good. Graphics cards, a top-of-the-line laser-engraved desktop with the Reckoning logo, a Spawn Studio tour with Todd McFarlane, 38 Studios Providence tour with Kurt Schilling and R.A. Salvatore, limited edition Todd McFarlane troll figurine, a life-size Reckoning hammer. This is actually going to be stupid. That's so awesome. And this is just what happens when I wanted to take 8 hours off and play a game. I'll be doing that on Tuesday from 2 p.m. Pacific to 10 p.m. Pacific. Tune in, and a special guest is going to help me create a character around 3-ish. I'm thinking. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere because the after... Oops. Don't go anywhere because your macro... or your... look, just this thing's coming up, guys. Also, your money. Macro, dude. Dude, your money. Alright, we'll be going live with that in about, I think, 10 to 15 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes with the After Hours Gaming League Week 3. Between Palantir and Epic.